Hello, Science Alliance. Hello, I am Lara. This is Theatre of Science. Although we're learning history, actually, aren't we? This is our 5th Romans lesson. We've only got one more Roman lesson to go. So I have to admit, I called this one Life in the Roman Empire. It's basically just all the cool stuff that I really wanted to talk about that we haven't had a chance to talk about in any other lesson. And next week I want to talk about the fall of the Roman Empire, because we haven't really talked about Roman soldiers and the strategies that they used. So we'll talk about that next week, why the Roman Empire isn't around anymore. And this week, we're going to talk about what the Romans wore, talk about gladiators, because who doesn't want to know about that? And we'll do a bit about food at the end. So yeah, we're going to make if you've got a spice jar, I didn't show them on Facebook, I left it as a surprise, but I'm going to show you. We're going to find out what a Roman toga actually is and how to put it on. And then we're going to make a Roman and put it on them. So yeah, if you've brought a spice jar with you and you've got a teaspoon and some sellotape, can you tape a teaspoon to the top of your spice jar like that, with the teaspoony bit pointing upwards, okay? Because you hear a lot about like toga parties, people dressing up in togas, and they're always wearing some sort of bed sheet. You can't wear a bed sheet because togas weren't shaped like bed sheets, and they were massive. They were really, really, really long. They were like 6 meters long. So I did a lot of faffing around with a bed sheet, trying to work out how we could put one on. It's just not going to work. So we'll make a small version. But for a small version of a toga, we need a small version of a person. So spice jar, spoon, job's a good one. Right, let's leave it there for now. I'm just going to go back a little bit and do a recap. I've talked about this every week, but to be honest, I was just a bit geekily excited to find out that the Roman Empire wasn't always the Roman Empire, and I feel like this is going to help me in conversation about the Romans from now on, when I'm reading about them in my own time. So Rome starts as a kingdom, you know this. Romulus is the first king, he founds Rome, that's why it's called Rome. I mean, according to the legend. And then the Roman kingdom becomes the Roman Republic. So they choose people, consuls get voted in, and they only stay for 1 year, and it's all very fair. And the Republic is very successful, and it kind of takes over everywhere. I mean, it's fair unless you're an enslaved person or a woman, but a little bit more of that later. So it's confusing because I'm writing Rome here. Obviously, Rome is a city in the country of Italy, which is this one that's shaped like a boot. But this is all Roman Empire, like Rome is in charge of all this stuff. And then we've talked a bit about how Julius Caesar defeats the Gauls, as these scrappy little Gauls are really good at fighting up north, and Julius Caesar finally defeats them all and then says, you know what, I'm really good at this, I'm going to be completely in charge of Rome forever, and then he gets killed. And then we said quite quickly last week that his adopted son becomes emperor. So his adopted son is called Octavian, but he becomes known, well, he just calls himself Augustus, which means great or majestic. Apparently he thought about calling himself Romulus, but that seemed too egotistical even for Octavian. So actually all Roman emperors after this, or I think all of them, certainly in fact loads of them, had the name Augustus in their name. Augustus wasn't like the name that he was born with, it just means really great, kind of close to God's person. Right, have you got your little Roman spice jar with your Roman arms? You need a lump of Play-Doh. Well, you don't need it. The Play-Doh is like optional, but I found that it worked better. The toga stayed on better if the person had a head. Hashtag science. So get a big ball of Play-Doh. If you're allergic to Play-Doh, you can use like a big ball of blue tack, or just a big ball if you've got one. Just stick it on the top. And then while I'm chatting to you a little bit about togas, you could give it a face. Because the first one I did in my first lesson didn't have a face at all. The second one looked like Yoda. I'm going to give it some proper hair this time. Oh yeah, so I'm going to try and tie things back to lessons that we've done before, because we're getting near the end of these Roman lessons. Do you remember we looked at this beautiful map, this old map of Rome, and we were talking a bit about the Forum, the town square, and I said that there was basically Caesar's Forum that got built first, and then the Forum Augusti got built afterwards. So now you know why, right? Because that was built by Caesar, and that was built by Caesar's adopted son, who became the first emperor of Rome. So that was built in the Roman Republic, and this was built in the Roman Empire. So we're in the Roman Empire now. So Emperor Augustus is in charge, and we know quite a lot about him because, again, bringing it back. We learned about Pompey last week. We learned about Pliny the Younger, who wrote the letter, which is kind of how we know what happened. Well, Pliny the Younger had a mate called Suetonius, And luckily for us, he wrote down a lot of stuff about the early Roman Empire. One of the things he tells us is that Augustus really thought the standards in Rome were slipping. He wanted to bring back the toga, so the very famous Roman outfit. It apparently used to be worn by men and women in the Roman kingdom and some of the Republic. But by the time Augustus comes along in the Roman Empire, the toga is only being worn by men. And it's, yeah, absolutely enormous. It's maximum 6 meters of white wool. So it's really heavy, really hot, really uncomfortable. You definitely couldn't wear it if you had a practical job. Like farmers weren't wearing it to plough fields. And you needed 2 people to put it on you, so you probably had enslaved people, so you were probably quite rich. This is why the pictures of Romans wearing togas, they've always got one arm up like that, because there's no fastenings or belts. You literally had to have an arm up in order for it to just not fall off you. So we're going to put a toga on this little person. Important thing to note, you would have had clothes underneath. It wasn't, if you're ever going to a toga party's not a Greek thing, by the way. Romans wear togas. Greek people didn't wear togas. They wore something that looks incredibly similar to my non-historian eyes, but it's not a toga. Only the Romans wore togas. And yeah, they would have just had a really simple kind of rectangle of material on underneath, and then put the toga on over the top. So let's get, please, I measured this. I spent a long time perfecting this activity. So you need 5 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 pieces of toilet roll. And yeah, it was kind of like it was sort of like a wedding suit was the toga. So I think most Romans would have had one. A lot of Roman men would have had one, but they wouldn't have worn it all the time. In the same way that these days, if someone, like a man, might have a kind of suit in a cupboard that they just get out for going to a wedding. It was that sort of thing. So you'd have one for best. Right, oh yeah, we get to go back to Pompeii, actually, because in one of the houses there's a lovely picture of people wearing togas, which will tell us some things about the Romans and togas. So I'll go back to this map of Pompeii while you're getting your 5 sheets of toilet roll. There's this woman called Julia. She's quite unusual because she's a businesswoman. And women didn't have very many, if any, rights in Rome. So she's probably from quite a poor background. But when Pompeii goes under, she owns a lot of land. So after the earthquakes in Pompeii, which were warning them that Vesuvius was about to explode, she turned her big area of land into very posh Roman baths and gardens so that people could visit because the baths in Pompeii had been damaged. And she built a set of apartments as well for people to stay in. So here they are. Here's the house of Julia Felix, if you were here last week. Get to explore a bit more of Pompeii, always a pleasure. This is the outside of it. Isn't that gorgeous? Here's a painting, sort of things they used to eat, some eggs and some birds. But this is the picture that we're interested in. This is quite a rich person sitting down, wearing a toga, giving out bread to poorer people who are also wearing togas. What do you notice? What do you notice? It's not rocket science, is it? Here's a close-up of the posh person, or the richer person who's giving out the bread, and the poor people accepting the bread. What do you spot there? The richer person's wearing white, aren't they? And the poorer people are wearing dark colours. And this tells us that is what used to happen, and it is what used to happen. So in a way, your toilet roll is quite a good. Oh no, ew! That was me realising that I accidentally got my 5 sheets of blue roll in my glass of water by mistake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it was quite difficult to bleach material. They had to use like wee and sulphur, I think. So our bleached toilet roll is quite a good model for a posh person's toga. Poorer people would have worn darker clothes because that was just like how they came out. The wool was just naturally a darker colour. So the Emperor Augustus saw some people wearing dark coloured clothes in the Forum, in the centre of Rome, and said, "This is disgusting, this is outrageous, everyone looks terrible. I'm going to insist that people only wear togas in the centre of Rome." So this is one of the rules he brought out, which must have been incredibly annoying because, like I say, the toga, really impractical, very hot item of clothing. Let's get it on, shall we? Let's put it on our little person. Come down here with me. There we go. Can you see that okay? So the fit. Oh wait. Oh, sorry. I'm really bouncing around. today. The toga was a semicircle. Oh, So we've really got to turn our toilet roll into a semicircle. Can you round the edges off? So if you want, you could just fold it in half and then just cut the edges to make it a bit of a semicircle. It's not a semicircle, is it? But you know, at least make it a little bit rounded. It's supposed to be a posh white toga. So I've learned a lot about, this lesson isn't all about togas. I've learned a lot about togas. I didn't know that the Greeks didn't wear them. And I didn't know that only Roman citizens were allowed to wear them. So a citizen, have you done that? Just rounded off just like one of the corners on either side, yeah. So it's kind of like a very long, flat semicircle. Sorry, mathematicians. Yeah, a citizen of a country, if you were a Roman citizen, or if you're a citizen of any country, it kind of means that the government sort of protect you and that you have certain rights in that country. So Roman citizens were allowed to vote for who they wanted to be in charge of Rome, for example. So I'll show you your little map while you're doing your bog roll. So most people in Italy, this is why I've written Rome everywhere, even though Rome is just a city here. Most people in Italy, apart from the enslaved people, were Roman citizens. So they had voting powers. So if you lived up here, you could vote for who was in charge down here. And then the further away you got from Italy, the less likely it was that you were a Roman citizen. So wearing a toga, you were only allowed to wear a toga if you were a Roman citizen. So it was a real point of pride. It was a symbol of Rome. It was a bit like national clothing, a bit like it's not the law that only Scottish people are allowed to wear kilts, but we all just kind of agree that it's sort of weird and wrong to wear a kilt if you're not Scottish. You only get to do that if you're Scottish. Right, let's dress this little person. Here we go. So what you need to do is get your nice smooth edge so that it's pointing away from the person. Just give it a little fold up. We're all about the folds when it comes to the toga. That was sort of the whole point, that it draped beautifully. So I'm just going to kind of fold mine up a little bit and need to turn it around really. We need to drape it over the upturned teaspoon bit because that's the arm that's going to hold it all together. Like that, see? You got that? You ready to dress your person? I've scrunched mine up because I've scrunched my toilet roll up because I think that makes it easier to hang. Because this is quite a good model for a toga because it's white and it's got rounded edges, but it's not a very good model for a toga because it's not very heavy. And actual togas themselves were really just relying on hanging down. So you got that there? So you need to have a little bit, well, quite a bit really, draped on the floor. Don't make it so that it's level with the spice jar. We're going to use that a little bit later. Apparently, very important Roman people, you know, like the emperor, would have had a bodyguard. And one of the bodyguard's job was to check in front of them to see if there were any bits of manky stuff on the floor so that the toga didn't get gross. Yeah. Okay, so if you've done that, we've got the upturned teaspoon and we've just draped the toga a little bit along the floor and then up and over. Now this time, on the other side, we've got to go under. It's not like a scarf. It's not getting draped across both shoulders. It goes under on that side. And then we're nearly done, to be honest with you. You can make some more nice creases because the whole point is that, like I say, the front has got to be all nice and foldy. And then just stick it over the little teaspoon arm again. And that's basically it, dudes. You can kind of open it up a little bit. All the videos I watched about how to wear a toga, there was an awful lot of faffing over the folds and perfecting and stuff, which I'm sure is historically accurate. I said to bring a little cup of water because you might want to weigh it down a bit. Because like I say, one of the reasons our toga isn't a very good model is that it's far too light, so it's not hanging properly. So I'm just going to put a little bit of water on my hands. Just kind of be careful, don't tear the toilet roll, don't use too much. But if you've got a tiny little bit of water on your hands, you just give it a tweak. There you go, that's a bit better. Just going to give it a little pinch at the front. Okay, so that's nearly it. But there's something else that we need to do. Did you know that togas have got pockets? Togas have got pockets. The pocket of a toga is called an umbo, and we need to make our pocket. Here is a picture of some togas. Two statues wearing togas. Can you see the pocket? If you've been to my website and you've downloaded the worksheet, you can circle the pocket if you like. Where's the pocket on these togas? You see it? The umbo. It's this bit here, this little bit that's kind of come untucked. Apparently that is where they might put their coins. So what that bit is, if you have a look at the screen, that's the original bit, you know, the bit that we first draped over. That's why we had to have it on the floor a little bit, because you've got to pull that through the sash, okay? So you've got the bit that you put on first, that you draped over the teaspoon, and then you've got the little sash. You need to pull the bit that you draped first through the sash, and then make it kind of hang over like a little pocket. I mean, you know, I say pocket. This is what the Greeks had. Oh my goodness, not the Greeks, the Romans. That's what the Romans had for a pocket. There we go. It's all right, isn't it? And then if you've got a little bit more Play-Doh, I'm just going to use some from this guy's head. You can make yourself some little coins. Oh, my coins! And they used to put, apparently, coins in this little pocket, which doesn't seem very practical to me. But like I say, I suppose this wouldn't have been worn by like a busy mum dashing through the marketplace with 3 kids. It would have been worn by people who weren't doing very much, to be honest, with their bodies. People who were just standing around chatting, probably, you know, politicians and that. Right, I'm going to put some hair on my little person. It's looking a bit sad. And, oh, I've got a matchstick here. I'm going to give them some eyes. There we go. And that is the end of the toga activity. So I'm glad that we all know all about togas now. That will help us with our pedantry in later life, I'm sure, at some point. Kind of looks like a fish. Oh well, that's fine. Right. Shall we? I sort of feel like we'd better move on from that. Should we learn about gladiators and find out what was true and what was not true? Oh, one more toga fact. Okay, one more. I'm so sorry. You could wear your toga capitevelato, which means covering the head. So you could, I'm not going to do it, but you could pull the back bit of your toga over your head. And this would have been to show respect for if you were doing, say, a sacrifice to the gods. And here's Emperor Tiberius, who's the one that came straight after Augustus, doing capitevelato to perform a religious ceremony. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? Look at that. What a gorgeous statue. So you can see, look, he's got his little, has he got an umbo? Yeah, he has got an umbo, kind of, hasn't he? Yeah. He's pulled it over his head. Where do you think that statue was found? Go on, if you've been to all the lessons, where was that statue found? In Herculaneum. I know, it's all come together. Right. Let's learn about gladiatorial games, shall we? Because I feel like most of you will have heard of Roman gladiators, you know, like kind of warriors who dressed up in helmets and armour and used to go into the amphitheatres and fight each other to the death, and the audience would like shout and scream and put their thumbs up or down to say if they want the gladiator to die. We all know that stuff, right? Do we? Maybe we do. But some of it isn't true and some of it is true. So I'm going to tell you like a tiny little bit about gladiators, and then I'm going to show you a load of information that I want you to say if you think it's true or false, and then I'll show you some evidence, and then we can find out together if it is true or false. All right, so again, back to this lovely map. The first gladiatorial games, the Romans didn't invent gladiator fighting. They probably got it from the Etruscans, who were sort of living next door. The first gladiatorial games in Rome were probably in the meat market. We've talked very briefly about the meat market before. Here we go, down here, the Forum Boarium. And it was someone putting them on in order of their father, sort of like a gift to the dead. And 3 pairs of gladiators fought to the death. So the idea was that it was rich people who put on gladiatorial games sort of for the poor people. It was kind of like one of their duties was to entertain the poorer folk. So this became incredibly popular, and they built a purpose-built amphitheatre for it, the Colosseum. Let's look at, can't look at enough pictures of the Colosseum. It's still there in Rome. When it was built, well, I believe it is, certainly when it was built, and I think it always was the biggest amphitheatre built in ancient Rome. Yeah, it was. And it's currently, even though it's nearly 2,000 years old, it's the biggest amphitheatre still standing. It held about 60,000 people, about 3 times the population of Pompeii. Look at that. Can you believe that? People in Rome just like, oh God, the traffic's always so snarled up around the Colosseum. What a beautiful thing. Anyway, these gladiatorial games, they were a really good way to get popular with people and make them more likely to vote you into power if you're a rich person. So, for example, Julius Caesar, he was very in debt actually, but he was really good at making himself popular. He spent loads of money putting on a massive gladiator show, like 320 gladiators. He said it was to honour his dead father, but his father had been dead for 20 years. So quite often people, like if someone's family member died, they would save the gladiatorial games in their honour until there was like an important election coming up or something. So yeah, gladiators they certainly hadn't always chosen to be there. You know, the Romans were going around conquering people. Well, when you conquer a place, you generally kind of get all their soldiers. So a lot of soldiers were taken prisoner and they were made to fight in the games. People who were being put to death, like people who'd done terrible crimes, it was like, well, if we're going to kill them, we might as well kill them in an exciting way, and they would be put into the gladiator arena. Or enslaved people. A lot of enslaved people would fight. Sometimes people would choose to do it because it was quite a good way of making money if you were very poor. Obviously very dangerous as well. Right, so I'm going to give you a little sort of story about a gladiator fight happening that you've gone to see. And for each little fact, there's 10 boxes. And I just want you to tell me, kind of, is it true or false? Like, do you think that it actually could have happened? Have we got evidence that that could have happened or did happen in Rome? Or is it just something that we've made up? I've made the backdrop this lovely painting, but this painting is from hundreds of years after the gladiatorial games happened. So don't look at this picture and think, oh, that's evidence that that is true. This is just, it could have been painted by someone who also believed the lies. So, number one, you're allowed to eat in the Colosseum. So you've brought to your seat some figs, some cherries, some walnuts. Do you think that could be true? Is that the sort of thing that happened in Rome or not? Second, first up, there's an animal fight. So a lion, a bear, a rhino, and an elephant are all killed by a gladiator. Is that the kind of thing that actually would have happened in ancient Rome or not? And then the gladiators fight and they're dressed as different characters. Is that something that really happened? Or have we made that up later for the films? One of them hasn't got a helmet, just a net and a trident. How likely is that? That's a trident, if you don't know what one is. Like the thing that the Little Mermaid's dad used to carry around. Two of the gladiators are women. Do you think that's actually a thing that would have happened or not? Musicians play to make the fight more dramatic. Would that have really happened? The gladiators fight until one of them says they give up. Is that true or false? Is that what used to happen? And the crowd decides what happens to the loser by doing thumbs up or thumbs down. So do you think that it's the crowd that decided if the gladiator lived or died? And did they do thumbs up, thumbs down to say whether that was true or not? And for the big final act, the Colosseum is filled with water and they reenact a sea battle and sharks are added to the water for extra drama. So, which of those do you think might have actually happened? And which of those do you think have just been made up at some point over the last few hundred years? Because it's a nice idea. Again, if you have been to my website and downloaded the worksheets for free, then you can put a little tick in a box to say if you think that these would have happened or not. Oops, what was that? I'm going to give you a few seconds while I perfect my Roman politician's hair. I say perfect. Oh, I just knocked it off. Oh yeah, much better. Yeah, some eyebrows. Well, that was the sound of me putting eyebrows onto a Play-Doh person. Have you decided? Oh yeah, it hasn't got a nose. Oh nose. Oh wow, this just gets weirder and weirder. Okay, should we go for it? So yeah, have a look through now. Yeah, I'm going to give you some kind of little pieces of evidence, show you a few things that we found or that people have written down over history. And if you want, you could be changing your answer while I go through the evidence, okay? I say evidence. This first thing I'm just gonna tell you it, to be honest. So archaeologists only fairly recently dug down into the drainage system of the Colosseum. Here we go. This is the Colosseum. This is where people would have sat, and this is underneath the Colosseum. And they did find loads of really cool, interesting stuff. They found lots of food. They found walnut shells and cherries, remains of grapes and things like this, even bits of bread. And they also found animal bones. So the bones of bears, I think dogs, certainly lions, lots of animal bones and lots of bits of food. That's your first bit of evidence. Here is a bronze medallion of what very much seems to be a Roman gladiator wearing armour, holding a knife, and they're about to stick it into this small, robust animal with tusks. I think it's a wild boar, so that's another bit of evidence for you. Here's a beautiful mosaic from the year 79, showing someone called Calendio versus someone called Astyanax. It must have been an important fight. It must have taken a long time to make this mosaic. So, yeah, as you can see, possibly, well, what's happening is, this is Calendio, and Calendio has thrown his net over Astyanax, but he's still holding his trident. Now, if you ever see a Roman mosaic, look out for this, or a Greek mosaic. This little symbol here, theta, is the symbol of death. So can you see who won the fight? Was it Calendio or was it Astyanax? So here, this is Astyanax covered in Calendio's net, and Calendio is on the ground, holding a sword, and yeah, he's got the little theta symbol next to him. So this was a way of recording that it was Calendio who died in the fight. Suetonius, you remember him, Pliny the Younger's mate? He tells us this about the Emperor Domitian. He says, he gave grand and costly entertainments. He even gave a naval battle in the amphitheatre. He gave hunts of wild beasts, gladiatorial shows at night by the light of torches, and not only combats between men, but between women as well. He often gave sea fights, having dug a pool near the Tiber, that's the river that flows through Rome, and surrounded it with seats. That's another bit of evidence. Here's a beautiful mosaic from the year 200, found in a Roman house in Libya. Can you see what's happened here? On the left, we've got some musicians, someone playing a very long horn and an organ and some horns. And on the other side, people are being all killed up. So yeah, there you go. So presumably this is not to scale. They wouldn't have been this close. There's someone sitting on a chair playing a horn and two people fighting each other. So let's go through that. Have you changed some of your answers? Let's say for realsies, for finally, let's get the truth out. Are these true or false? Well, yes, you are allowed to eat in the Colosseum. Like you say, they've found lots of remains of food, so that's definitely true. Yeah, first of all, there would have been animal fighting, probably. So the gladiatorial games actually took place for about 1,000 years. They were really, so they obviously changed in the 1,000 years that people were watching them. Quite often, it would be, I believe, the musicians that came on first in a parade. Like I say, if there was anyone who had been condemned to death, anyone who had committed an awful crime, or, well, anyone who they just really didn't like, who they were going to kill, they would quite often reenact something from history, like a story from history where someone dies, and then the person would die at the end. And yeah, then the animals would be paraded on. Sometimes the animals were made to fight each other. They, at this point in the Roman Empire, they are in charge or have contacts with loads of different countries. So they were really proud of the fact that they could bring in loads of, to them, very exotic animals like lions, rhinos, bears. Apparently, some elephants were killed during one gladiatorial battle, and the crowd didn't like that. That didn't go down very well. So if you like animals, which you probably do, that's some comfort. Yes, the gladiators did fight as different characters. This was a very, very theatrical event. And there was a net man. There was someone who didn't have a helmet, as we've seen, and just had a net and a trident. Yeah, there were women gladiators, although they definitely weren't typical. They were probably kind of a little bit of excitement, just out of interest thing for the crowd. But there definitely were women who fought. But yeah, like I say, they weren't. It would have been a kind of extra exciting, rare thing when that happened. And yeah, there were musicians who played to make the fight more dramatic, as we've seen. They actually did fight quite often until one of them just said, I give up. So when the gladiatorial fights were first happening, they would just fight to the death. And then in the Empire, when Augustus was around, it takes a lot of money, right, to feed and train gladiators. And if you've trained people to be incredibly good fighters and the crowd loves them, you don't want them to die every time. So if they were getting to the point where one of them wanted to give up, they could put a finger up. And that was a sign to say to the person called the editor, who was kind of in charge of the fight, I give up, I'm ready for you to say if I live or die. And then the editor would be the person who asked the crowd. So actually it wasn't technically the crowd who decided what happened to the loser. It was the editor who decided, but the editor would usually go by what the crowd said. And it thumbs up or thumbs down, we just don't know. We don't know. We've got this phrase which means a turned thumb. You say it as, let me find it, here we go. Polliceverso, I think is how you say it. And it just means with a turned thumb. And we've sort of got a picture from the front of a pot that was found in France, but it's not really a thumb up or a thumb down. Here it is. This is from the year 200 AD. So we've got gladiators fighting on the left. And on the right here, we've got this guy who we think is the editor, the person sort of in charge of the fight. You see what he's doing with his thumb? What is that? It's a turned, some historians think that is the term turned thumb move, but it's, what is it? It's more like a kind of clenched fist, isn't it, with the thumb turned in. Some people even think that thumbs up would have meant, yeah, kill him, stab him with the sword, and thumbs down would have meant, oh no, drop the sword, we think he's done a really good job. So we don't know, we don't have a clue. We don't know what polliceverso meant, but it's obviously, if you're making a film about gladiators, it's much clearer to a modern audience to say, yes, we like him, or no, we don't like him. The Colosseum is filled with water and they reenact a battle. Again, we don't know. We don't know whether that's true or false. It's really interesting, actually. We've got people writing down that definitely were sea battles. They used to love recreating battles at sea. Like we've heard, they would have dug a pool near the River Tiber that would have been filled with water, and they would have enacted battles there. There was an aqueduct that could have put water into the Colosseum, and they have found rocks that are kind of like Roman waterproofing under the Colosseum. And the Colosseum is built on land that would have allowed water to drain away really easily. But we don't know if they did that on purpose. We don't know if they built it there so that they could fill it with water and then drain it, or whether that's just a coincidence. It's so tantalising. So it's not unrealistic. It could have happened that they could have filled the Colosseum with water to do battles there. What definitely didn't happen is what happens in the film Gladiator 2 that came out recently. They wouldn't have put sharks in the water. Were the Roman times not entertaining enough, Gladiator 2, without you having to put sharks in the water? You couldn't, even the Romans couldn't have transported sharks. Just not a thing. Right, very quickly, we need to move on to the Roman theatre because I made a mistake. I know, can you imagine? I made a terrible, embarrassing mistake in the Pompeii lesson that I need to correct. So, amphitheatres were where the Roman gladiators fought. But Romans also went to the theatre, right? They got this from the Greeks. They loved the theatre, just humans putting on plays for people. So I'm going to show you some pictures of Roman theatre where the plays happened. And then I want you to say what's the difference between a theatre and an amphitheatre. So this is a Roman theatre. Can you believe this? This is actually a real Roman theatre that is still around. You can go and visit it. Isn't that absolutely incredible? God, imagine people putting on play there. Anyway, here's another Roman theatre. Amazing. So here we've got one of these pictures is an amphitheatre, and one of these pictures is a Roman theatre. Can you tell me which is which? Can you tell me the big difference looking at these pictures? There's one major difference between these pictures, which is how you tell the difference between an amphitheatre where the gladiators used to fight and a theatre where people used to put on plays. What do you think? There are a few differences. Oh yeah, I love this. Dude, you're just going to be my presenter from now on. Oh, pleasure. But what if you need onion powder? Oh, who needs onion powder? My husband really likes onion powder, it's weird. Have you got it? I mean, obviously there are a few differences, but the big main difference is the shape. This is an amphitheatre. Amphitheatres were generally like oval shapes because Because if you were an enslaved person fighting a lion, you probably weren't worried about always facing the audience as you did your business. So in an amphitheatre actually means sort of theatre from all directions. So the audience would have been sat all the way around because anything could have happened anywhere. Whereas at a theatre, theatres were, I shouldn't say it like that, theatres weren't like posh, but anyway, yeah, theatres were semicircles because the actors needed to stand on the stage with something behind them and project out so that the audience could see them. Theatres also, some people were mentioning sound on Facebook, theatres sometimes had roofs as well, because presumably it's more important to have sound waves bouncing off a roof so that everyone can hear the play, whereas in the amphitheatre, I imagine you probably needed your eyes more than your ears. So yeah, do you remember, I showed you a picture of a Roman amphitheatre in Pompeii last week, and this is the slide that I put up. We looked at the amphitheatre, right, in Pompeii. But there were also theatres in Pompeii. There were 2 theatres in Pompeii that were preserved when the volcano erupted. A small theatre and a large theatre. And I showed you this slide and I'm so embarrassed. I don't know how I can show my face ever again on Theatre of Science. Look at this. I said this was the amphitheatre of Pompeii. It's the theatre in it. Clearly that's a theatre, not an amphitheatre. It's a semicircle. There's a stage right there. So yeah, I beg your pardon. That is the theatre of Pompeii. Here's another theatre of Pompeii. Like I say, there were 2. Beautiful. Right, very quickly, because we really have to end the lesson because we've talked too much and there's too much to say. But yes, women in Rome basically didn't have any rights at all. The man was in charge of the family. A man could legally kill his wife and his kids. And the law would be like, totally fair. You know, you're the head of the household, you're in charge, do what you like. So women would have been able to go to the theatre, but they would have sat at the back with the enslaved people on which the Roman Empire was entirely built. You could not have had the Roman Empire without people who they had enslaved, like people who they basically just kind of kidnapped and forced to work for free. Interesting point about the Roman Empire. That probably doesn't get said enough, actually. And then I thought, well, I've got to talk a little bit about food because, you know, I've said that we're going to learn about life in the Roman Empire, but I kind of feel like you can just look up what the Romans ate themselves, to be honest. But I will just say that most people had a vegetarian diet. All gladiators would have pretty much had a vegetarian diet. The main thing they ate was cereals, so like barley and wheat, grains. You would have drunk wine with warm water, but you could put the warm water in yourself. Just as a boring adult who cannot handle very much wine, that just really pleased me, the idea that you could decide like how weak it would be. And they used olive oil for everything. So Spain was a part of Italy, and Spain was where a lot of the olives were grown for the whole of the Italian Roman Empire, because they just used so much olive oil. They would put it on their skin, they would cook with it, they would use it for all their lamps, like to burn. If you needed light, basically you needed olive oil. So yeah, olive oil, really important. I'm just going to show you this beautiful little slide that I found on Tinternet, which I thought summed up really nicely what they ate before we do a bingo. Here we go. So thank you, naturalhistory.si.edu. What did the Romans eat and why? I'm sorry, it's a little bit blurry, but I just liked this. Look, it's a beautiful little triangle showing us what they used to eat. So cereals are the foundation to the Roman Empire, and then people would have eaten lots of pulses like beans as well, vegetables. All sounds very healthy. And then they would have eaten a few fruits as well, and eggs and dairy. This kind of the richer people not eating quite so much of this. And then right at the top, you've got meat that would have been a luxury, and nuts, and then people would have put herbs and spices on their food as well. Obviously, you don't need as much of those. Right. Whew. Okay, shall we play bingo? Because I certainly did not expect you to remember all of that. But hopefully, if you've picked up on the key points, you'll be able to play this bingo with me. So I'm going to read you some questions. And again, if you've downloaded the worksheet, you can just tick that off on the sheet. If you haven't got the worksheet, don't worry about it. You can just look at it and work it out from that. Or if you want, you could just draw like 3 lines by 3 lines, but don't bother writing all the words in. Yeah. So from left to right, top to bottom, we've got the words umbo, rhino, cereals, cotton, false, semicircle, umbo, true, circle, silk, shark, blue, meat, wool, purple, don't know. So I'm going to read you some questions, like I say, and when you hear the answer, cross it off, and yeah, let's see how you do. It can be across or up and down or diagonally right. Okay, so question number 1. What was the toga made of? Question number 1, what was the toga made of? If you can see the answer there, just cross it off. What was the toga made of? Umbo, rhino, cereals, cotton, false, semicircle, umbo, true, circle, silk, shark, blue, meat, wool, purple, don't know. Number 2, what animal would you not see in an amphitheatre? What animal would you not see in an amphitheatre? Cross off the animal that definitely would not have appeared in a Roman amphitheatre. Question number 3. Romans used to put their thumbs down to show that they wanted a gladiator to die. Is that true or false? So number 1, what was the toga made of? Number 2, what animal would you not see in an amphitheatre? Number 3, Romans used to put their thumbs down to say, yes, I want that gladiator to die. Is that true or false, or we don't know? Question number 4, what shape was a Roman theatre? What shape was a Roman theatre where actors used to put on plays? I should say, if you're new, then I don't have any comments on these lessons on YouTube, but if you go to my Facebook page, if you've got a Facebook account, then the top post there, if you leave a message there, then I'll say hello to you in a sec. So what was a toga made of? What animal was you not seen in an amphitheatre? Did Romans put their thumbs down to say they wanted somebody to die? Yes, no, or don't know. What shape is a Roman theatre? Question number 5, what food was most important to the Roman diet? Number 5, what food was most important to the Roman diet? Question number 6, what is the name of a toga's pocket? What's the name of a toga's pocket? We only just found out Romans have pockets. Now I want you to tell me the name of it. What is the name of a Roman pocket? Question number 7. Women would have fought in gladiatorial battles. Is that true? Well, I'm just making up an extra question because I didn't want you to know that was the last question. Hopefully, have you got bingo now? Hopefully you've got bingo. So the toga was made of wool, very heavy, thick wool. It must have been so annoying when the Emperor Augustus suddenly said, you've got to wear togas in the forum. You wouldn't see sharks in amphitheatres. Lovely idea. Romans did not, we don't know what the Romans did with their thumbs. We haven't got a clue. Well, we've got some clues, but we don't know. What shape is a Roman theatre? It was a semicircle. So actors could be seen by everybody. That cereals were most important to the Roman diet. So gladiators would have been vegetarian. And a toga's pocket is called an umbo. So well done you lot, if you got that right. You should have got a diagonal line all the way down there. And if you didn't get that right, even more well done for you for knowing that it don't matter, does it? As long as we've had fun and we've learned some things. Right, you lot, that is the end of the lesson. I like that. I'm going to put this guy, this is definitely the best one. I'm going to put him in the background. Here, you can go in front of my little Jurassic Park duck. Yeah, if you've enjoyed this lesson, so I'm going to go over to my Facebook page now and say hello to anyone who has popped up on Facebook to say hello. How it works is, everything that I do is free. That's just the business model of dreams. It's so little admin for me. I just stream all of my lessons for free. All of the printouts are free. They're all saved on my website for watching on catch up. And I just say, if you can pay me, then please do. And enough people are. It's a job. It's so weird. You wouldn't think that people would choose to pay you if they didn't have to, but they are doing. So yeah, I just say, if you can afford £5 a month for what I'm offering, that is completely enough to keep me going. I mean, you can pay me more. Some people pay me like 6 or 9, but yeah, £5 a month from loads of people equals a wage for me. And I send you nice things to say thank you. So if you go to my About section now, you will find a link to this website called Ko-fi or Ko-fi. Which is where you sign up. So go to my About section on YouTube, or go to the blue button that says sign up if you're on Facebook. And yes, or you can find it on your printout if you've downloaded the printouts that I made for free. Sign up, support me £5 a month, and I'll send you nice things to say thank you. I'll send you some rainbow glasses that make you see rainbows. They just take the white light that is all around you, and they split it up into all the colours of the rainbow, It's amazing. It's science. It's magical science. I'm just going to have a look at my Facebook page. Yeah, and I'll send you a sheet I wrote about how they work, because I'm a physics teacher by training. And I'll also send you Theatre of Science magazine. So if you sign up with, I write a science magazine. It's very, 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 very unreliable. It just comes out when I finish writing it, and it takes me so long, just so long, increasingly long. But anyway, the next one is nearly out. So if you sign up to support me with £5 a month, you're on the list to get Theatre of Science magazine, and I'll send you a past issue or two to keep me going. So if you sign up with £5 a month, I send you the Mould issue at the moment. It's just got a beautiful comic about the discovery of penicillin, how it wasn't just one bloke that saved loads of lives. I'll send you a free home compostable plastic bag, so that you can grow your own mould using this little tray at the back, and then compost it all, so it's not bad for the environment. And it's got a Choose Your Own Adventure. It's got obviously some information about fungus. Very proud of Theatre Science magazine. I always say it's the best, least reliable science magazine that you can't buy. And if you sign up with £6 a month, I'll send you the sleep issue as well. So I'm just getting my comments up on Facebook. Oh, hello, Dexy. Hey, I'm getting some pictures of some Roman spice charts. Oh, brilliant. Look at that. Yeah, so the sleep issue is, if you sign up with £6, you get the glasses and the information sheet and the Mould magazine, and also this one. So this has got Choose Your Own Adventure, beautiful magazine about sleep. It's got a little origami koala you can cut out, because koalas sleep a lot. I'll send you some organic lavender so that you can make a little sleep squish to help you sleep. And it's got a beautiful little jigsaw. Yeah, thank you very much. If you have Theatre of Science magazine in your house, then you are one of the reasons why I can do this job and I'm not working in a school. Hello, Lana and Finley. Oh, could you dye togas, or were they just black or white? That was really interesting. Thank you. Ah, thanks. What a brilliant question. Could you dye togas? Very good question. You could have done, I assume, but I don't know if they did. The outfit underneath, which would have just been, like I say, sort of two rectangles sewed together, that was quite often dyed with stripes, like purple stripes, to sort of show that you were important. But I haven't come across any actual colourful togas. No way! Arlo, you're here for your first lesson. That's so cool. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Arlo, welcome to the Science Light. Yeah, look at that. It's like they're chatting to each other. Look at that. That's brilliant. Oh, yours has ears. I want mine to have ears. Look, it's like they're having a Zoom call. And here's the other one as well. That's Dexy's. Dexy, beautiful. Oh, you've done Capite. Was that Capite Verde? I can't remember. Anyway, very good work. Very good. Oh, Arlo, it's always really lovely to hear from new people. Hello, CJ and Oscar. Hello. All right, Maya and... Is that an egg? Is that a real egg or a fake egg that you've used for your head? Excellent. Oh, I'm loving these photos. Yours looks like a Pokemon. Is that a little heart being kept in the pocket? Oh, it's the perfect amalgamation of it. Look at that. These ears, I'm very jealous of these ears. Oh, and you've covered up the spice jar. That's a really good idea. Although I was going to say to show that they had clothes on underneath, but wait, that is total nakedness, isn't it? Look at that. It is like a little Pokemon with a little heart. Oh, I think you just invented the latest craze for kids. Egg toga Pokemon heart toys. We did not get bingo because Mum wasn't paying attention. You can't pick your people, can you? You know. Hello, Amelia. It was a nice surprise for us that your lessons moved to Friday this week. Oh, whoa! It was your birthday last week, and you were at a zookeeper experience feeding 3 species of otter, deer, pine marten, ferrets, and polecats. Dude, and a video. Oh my goodness, what is that? That is the weirdest collection of. I shouldn't say weird, obviously. To us, to animals, we're weird, aren't they? That is a lot of different animals. Chloe, bingo, well done you, thank you. Happy birthday for yesterday. Very happy birthday. Oh, I'm so glad that I get to see you today. That looks amazing. Oh, that's nice. Look, Bella saying happy birthday. Was that Izzy B? It was great, yes. Bingo. Oh, well done, Ruby and Oscar. Well done, hello. Margot, yeah, it's onion powder in my... Very, very weird. My husband's a big fan of onion powder. We heard that a Roman inventor made bendy glass and was then executed. Sebastian Humphrey, I've got no idea. Made bendy glass and then was executed. It sounds like the kind of thing the Romans would have done. No, we don't like that idea. Hack. But no, I don't know. I haven't heard of that. Your model is so cool. Let's have a look at this model. What is that? What has Sebastian Humphrey done? Oh! Wait, what is that? What is that model? Is that an amphitheatre? That is very beautiful. Is it an amphitheatre? No. Is it what is it? Have you told me and I've missed it? No, you've just casually just dropped it in. You've got paprika. That's a very strong choice. Much better choice. Laurie's toga. Oh yes, Laurie, look at this. And there's Merlin and Irises. I'm just going to check out all the togas. So that's the Pokemon Love Heart one. That's the beautiful model. Sebastian Humphrey. Looking good. You have to tell me what that is. Is it a bath because it's got seats? It has got, but no, it's also got flags. It must be an amphitheatre, isn't it? Because you can sit all the way around. Look at that. Come on. That is very strong. I love it. I love the hair. That is is that Play-Doh? That's beautiful. Okay. Back we go. Oh yes, look at this. Merlin and Iris. That is gorgeous. It looks very snuggly. Is that toilet roll? That's very good quality toilet roll, isn't it? Oh, yours is a much better model for, don't want to get personal, Merlin and Iris, but good choice. You have to tell me where you got that from. That looks super snuggly. Salve, says Augustus. Hello, Augustus. Good to see you. Hello, Willow and Darcy and Jackson. You both think onion powder is very funny. Oh yeah, that is quite a good Roman name. Yeah. Good morning from Holly and Sky. Our parents bought us this keyring back. Oh, because your parents have just been to Rome. Our parents went to Rome while we were studying the Romans, and all we got was this keyring, this scientifically inaccurate keyring of Romulus and Remus. Look at that. That is so cool. I'm well jealous. It's the picture, but it's real. It's a real life keyring of the picture that we've looked at so many times of the founder of Rome, Romulus, drinking wolf milk with his brother. If you weren't here for the first lesson, that is not scientifically a thing. Kids, do not feed babies wolf milk. They will not survive. It's very confusing with the whiteboard showing the right side of the screen and Jurassic Park written backwards. I know! Yes, I'm sorry, Ben, I can't do it. It's just YouTube have just changed their settings now, as far as I can tell, and everything is flipped. I mean, you're saying it's very confusing. Please note that I am having to write backwards on the board, and I'm having, like, this looks forwards to you because I'm reading it as backwards. So, you know, effort is being made. I'm sad because I used to, on YouTube, I could wear t-shirts and stuff with, like, writing on, but I can't do that anymore. I know, we'll get used to it. It'll become the new normal. It's amazing. Human brains are very, very plastic. But yeah, it is a shame, isn't it, that the words are backwards now. Yeah, Theatre of Science magazine. I used to always be able to show it on YouTube and it would be forwards, but now it's backwards. Hello, Magnus. Hello, Laurie. Hello, Matilda in Birmingham. Nearly did the accent. That was disrespectful. Sorry, Matilda. Hello, Matilda in Birmingham. You're planning to build a Roman villa in Minecraft. What? That's amazing. Whoa, look at that. Is that your plan? That's gorgeous. Oh, yeah. Splendid. Look at those columns. Beautiful. Very good idea. Very good idea to do the planning. Is that normal on Minecraft? To plan it out first? It's a good idea. Oh, hello, Jaycee and Daniel and Daisy, also known as Jancy, the cool trio. Hello, Imogen and Ophelia. And it is Merlin and Iris again, and they're watching live. Yes! Hello, hello, Shuki and Arthur and Eunice and Salah and Musa. Hello, hello. Need to keep reminding myself today's not Thursday for the rest of the day. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. It's because this lesson's usually on Thursdays if you're new. It's every Thursday. I never change it. I'm weirdly reliable for someone as unreliable as me. But I didn't have any electricity in my house yesterday. They turned it off. So that was a pretty good excuse for not doing any lessons. Hello Tyrion and Mum. We usually watch later, but we managed to get organised and watch live today. Yes! Talking of being organised, hello, if you're still here. I've been chatting on for a long time. I have actually. I need to go and set up my Dolphin Lego story show, which is on in half an hour. Hello Jacob. Hello. And that's the end, except I'll just refresh just in case anyone else has said anything. So yeah, if you're new, then I do these like all ages lessons, which are sort of for everyone really. Come on. No one, I don't care how old you are, no one knew that much about togas before this lesson. But I also do a Lego story show, which is live at 10:30, usually on a Thursday, but today's Friday. So in half an hour, I will have my dolphin costume on, and we will be chatting about dolphins. Just what are they? What are they doing? Why would you have to breathe air and spend your whole life in the sea? It doesn't make, no offence to dolphins, it doesn't make any sense. So we'll be learning about them, and then there'll be a little Lego story show about, I'm saying little, it's quite big today, a Lego story about dolphins. Matilda in Birmingham, you like my impersonation? Steady, did you see the light come on in my eyes? Matilda has said that it's okay for me to do the accent. Matilda, don't encourage me. That's awful. That was just Yorkshire. That was my Yorkshire accent. That was my Bingley. Bingley's about the same size as Pompeii. So if you want to learn about Pompeii, you just picture Bingley, just like being destroyed by a volcano. That was really bad. That was just half and half. Matilda, what have you done? What have you done? This is why I don't do it. You shouldn't, don't encourage me. Stop it. Stop. Laurie, what are you saying? The head is cornflower filled balloon. Of course, cornflower filled balloon. That's what the head is. I'm so home-ed, I can't believe it. Oh yeah, we just had this cornflower filled balloon left over from zoology class. You could put a baby in the umbo. Yeah, you could, couldn't you? Oh, you could, although I don't feel like that is a very practical way to carry a baby. Again, just to say, don't try that at home, kids. Don't drape 6 meters of wool around yourself and just walk around with one arm up trying to support baby. Don't do that. Maz and Jazz's Roman dudes. All right, let's have a look at this. Oh, hello, Lara. I nearly said hello, Lara. Arthur, that's what you're saying, because you're Arthur and I'm Lara. Hello, Arthur. Nailed it. Dexy! There's Dexy again. Is that the same one or is that a different one? I think that's the same one. Let's have a look at Maz and Jazz's Roman dudes. Oh, look at them hanging out together. Very nice. I love it. Have they swapped colours? They have. That's clever. Yes, I like that. And oh, there's the model again. Humphrey and Sebastian. Maybe there's yeah. Have we seen that one of Dexy's before? We have, yeah, with the competitive. Right. Okay, I better go. I need to get my extremely disappointing dolphin costume on. I'm just loving Arlo's on the Zoom call. I really like that. Okay, right. I'm gonna go and yes, get ready and also blow my nose. I've got a load of toilet roll right here. So I'll see you all. I'll see some of you in sorry, oh god, I should have just gone. I could have left and then you wouldn't have seen this. I'll see some of you in 25 minutes when we chat about the dolphins. And next week is last week. Sorry, I really should have got that in earlier. Next week's the last week. So next week our final Roman Empire lesson, a week off for the half-term holiday, and then we start on Shakespeare for a term. So yes, thank you all for coming to this one, and I will see you next week. Thank you all very much for your support on Coffee. Go to the About section or click the sign up button if you're on my Facebook page, and I will send you Theatre of Science magazine and some rainbow glasses. I'll see you all soon. Thank you for coming. Bye.